We have a patient, this continues our IV skills. Now we have a patient with IV, and the doctor has decided they don't need the IV fluids anymore, but he wants to keep the needle in place so that they can get their antibiotics through the saline lock or IV push Lasix or whatever. So now we have traditional IV fluids going into the IV catheter. He writes he ordered DCIV fluids. He did not say DCIV. So you cannot pull the needle out of the vein. You DC the fluids and you cap it off with a saline lock. All right? You don't have an order to DC the IV. So first thing that we need to do is we take our saline lock out of the package. And do you see? This is air. So we have to prime the saline lock. So unclamp it. We don't need gloves for this. We're not touching body fluids. Wipe it 10 times. We've got our saline flush. And remember your airspace. If you don't clear that out, you're going to be pushing air when you're trying to clear out air. The trick is to pull back and then push up. Do you see it drip? Okay, so now I'm ready. This is that same spring-loaded system. So push down and twist. Do this before you can do this before you ever get to the patient's bedside and walk in with your saline lock flushed. Then I'm going to just let it drip, and you can just let it drip into the sink. All right, do you see saline coming out the end? So now it's primed, and leave it unlocked. Now to protect this, I can either put the end of it in the alcohol package, or this is sterile on the inside. I can put it right there. So when I need it, I have it. I can just grab it out. Now, we're going to need gloves on for this part of the skill, because when I take this loose from the IV catheter, that IV catheter is going into the vein. Blood's going to start pouring out. It's going to pour out until you get that saline lock on the end of it. All right? So you want your tape torn. Okay? Now, because when I started the IV, I put the dressing, the clear tegaderm dressing, from this hump on the IV catheter forward, I don't have dressing covering my connection. So this is easy to do. You do not want dressing covering your connection when you do your dressing, okay? So I'm going to turn off my IV fluid so I don't get sprayed. If it's on a pump, just stop your pump. Take this loose. Take all your tape loose that's holding your IV in place. And look, I don't care if your gloves fit. You need to be able to do your skills and whatever. They don't have to fit tight as a glove. All right, now, I've got my tape torn. Now, I'm going to disconnect right here. And with this finger, I'm putting pressure right here where the catheter goes into the vein. So to control the amount of blood that's going to spill out of the end of this. Right now, if I don't apply pressure, okay, blood's going to be spilling out right here. So I want to do this as quickly as I can do it. Okay? And cap it off. Now, some blood may leak. It does, even with me. So that just happens. That's why you have a pad under the patient's hand. Do you see I have the blue pad? Then you're going to hold your IV catheter. So if it wiggles too much, it can come out of the vein. You're going to slowly irrigate to make sure this doesn't swell around here, that it is patent and irrigates easily. You're going to clamp it off before you disconnect. But I just leave it like that and go ahead and tape it down. Okay? Get it good and taped down. Get that part taped down. Now, you see, this is what I would do with this patient. You see how that's just kind of loose? and could catch under the bedclothes and flip it out and have to restick them, I would get some cotton balls and put it up under here, and then I would have to tape it on their fingers. But that's better than leaving that dependent loop that cover could get under and rip the whole thing out. All right, so that's how you change an IV to a saline lock, and that's a pure IV going straight into the IV catheter. Do you see now why whenever I start an IV, I teach you to put a saline lock on there? All we would have had to do is come in and unscrew the fluids off the saline lock. All right,